I know nothing. Nothing. I know nothing. Nothing.
Hey, hello, my name is Cheryl Kelmar, the host of the podcast, The Judge's Oath, and I'm doing a special one today. So, my concern relates to a document filed on November 20th, 2020, which states that the father of my son, Eric Johnson, is the trustee of an apartment in Isla Vista he owns outright. The issue with this filing by an alleged attorney is that my son's father passed away on November 2nd, 2020. In other words, this trustee filed that a dead man is the trustee rather than naming the real trustee. More important, this trustee has not complied with legal requirements, including filing the required parent-child exemption form and providing a copy of the trust that identifies my son, Eric's only child, as the rightful beneficiary of the apartment, deemed residential because it is only 4 units. I have brought this matter to the attention of the tax assessor's office, but no action has been taken for over a year. Laura Capp stated that I need to retain an attorney in order for the tax assessor to require the proper documentation. However, this is inconsistent with my experience. In 2021, after Prop 19 went into effect during COVID, the tax assessor reassessed my Mesa property without notice to me for 2 years, making me have to sell when I found out I owed over $9,000 in tax, and my mortgage went from $5,000 a month to over $7,000 without requiring legal representation by anyone to enforce compliance. Given this, I do not understand why the authorities are not requiring the trustee to comply with the law, especially while income from the apartment is collected at least $20,000 a month by the trustee and their property manager, Valerie Sweet, without the property being maintained and without my son benefiting. While raising my son as a single mother, I only received $250 a month because Valerie submitted only net income when the law required gross. And the Santa Barbara Child Support Services never did a property search, while my son's ex-wife, Deborah Mullen, was one of 3 attorneys working there. In other words, in my opinion, I don't trust Valerie. I intend to continue pursuing this matter and will be publicly calling on the district attorney and other officials of Santa Barbara to fulfill their responsibility via my YouTube podcast called The Judge's Oath. I'd like to know who in Santa Barbara is profiting from the theft of my son's inheritance, worth probably $5 million, and intimidating him by allowing the trustee to operate above the law. Is this part of the war on the middle class, being that we are continually ripped off of our property in Santa Barbara, California by unlawful means, and would like some answers of why this trustee is allowed to live above the law? This trustee has probably collected over $600,000 easily, and Valerie, and they have done put nothing into that property at all, and my son is not benefiting. There is no way that my son's father, Eric Johnson, intended some attorney who drafted these self interest documents without anybody close to Eric witnessing it. His property manager, Valerie Sweet, is not a valid witness of what Eric intended for his son. It was just self-serving all the way by this attorney. And he's intimidated my child, who's a very young man, and it is not acceptable. They do not intimidate me, and I will continue to speak out. Thank you so much for your time, and watch for my next podcast.